Welcome back to another case-by-case training. In this video, we're going to be talking about online training versus in-person training. This is the second part to a two-part video. The first one, I was talking kind of from the client perspective, what the benefits to in-person versus online training are. This is more to the coach or the trainer. If you want to watch that first video, I'll link to it in the description. But in this one, we're specifically going to be looking at the coach's perspective and how there could be benefits to in-person and online training and what they are, what some of the differences are between the two, and hopefully just help you decide which is best for you. I'm going to just say right off the bat, if you have no training experience and you're just looking to get into personal training, I would recommend starting with in-person training regardless. I think, there's a lot to be learned from training people in person, seeing just the ways that you need to get the results. There's so many different types of clients that you're going to run into, and everybody's a little different. And so there's a lot that you can learn from that, and it's going to help you be a better online trainer ultimately if you start out doing some in-person training first. Now, my assumption is that a lot of you are in-person trainers and you're looking to do online training, maybe to transition into it fully or just to add it in as supplemental to your in-person training. And we'll talk about my recommendation on how to go about that, as well as why I recommend it and what the benefits are to both sides. And so kind of your options are in-person training, online training, or somewhere in the middle where you're doing a little mix of both. So for in-person training, obviously one of the biggest benefits is that you're right there, you're with your clients, you're able to see what they're doing, you're able to correct form, you're able to show them form yourself, and you're able to have that relationship with them in person. There's definitely a benefit to that, and additionally, I think that most of us are probably extroverts if we're doing personal training as a job and as a career. And so if it's something that you got into because you enjoy being around people, you enjoy being on your feet, the idea of just being at a desk all day is unappealing. That's something to think through, because you lose a lot of that when you go strictly to online training. And so, I think online training is very glamorized on the internet because, probably whoever's talking to you is trying to sell you something, and they're trying to get you to buy their coaching services, and they're advertising that you can become a millionaire being an online trainer because, you don't have to sacrifice time for money. And there is some truth to the fact that, yes, with in-person training, one of the downfalls is you sacrifice the time for money. You're 1 hour for one client. If you have 20 clients twice a week, that's already 40 hours a week, and you're going to be pretty maxed out. Online training, sky's the limit, right? You could have 100 clients, you could have 1,000 clients. Depending on how you structure your business, it could grow to be whatever it potentially could grow to. So it could really take off. You could really make a lot through online training, and there is truth to that. But you also have to think about what it looks like from the side of, a lot of people are thinking, oh, I'm just going to be on the beach, chilling on my laptop and work for a couple hours a day, and then the rest of the day I'm going to just hang out and have fun and do all this stuff. Maybe you get to that point. I'm not saying you can't. I'm definitely not there. But it's still a business. It's still something you have to put a lot of time into. You still have to nurture clients. And maybe you could, trick people and get a lot of people to buy something and really make a lot of money, not really putting a lot of time into it, not putting a lot of effort into your clients. But then chances are that's not going to last long. People are going to figure that out. They're going to, write you bad reviews and whatever else. And that lifestyle is not going to continue very long. And so that's the same with in-person training, right? I could charge super high rates. I could charge $100 an hour for in-person training and do the minimal amount and not really take time to make them programs, just kind of copy paste programs. But guess what? Even if that seems like, oh, I'm making a lot and I'm doing very little and it's great, people are going to figure that out. They're going to notice that you're being lazy. They're going to notice that you're being unethical, and they will sniff it out, and it's going to hurt your business. It's going to hurt your brand. So the same is true with online training. You still have to put in hard work and time. People will know if you're, not really putting much into it. Now, one of the things is, yes, you can put in the hard work and the time more upfront. And so what I mean by that is eventually, let's say you put some really hard focused effort into creating a 3-month program for a client. And you do it genuinely, creating them a program that is going to get them results. You put in a lot of work into it. But then once you're done, it's done, right? And so in a sense, there is that aspect. And that's why you can scale and you can have hundreds, potentially thousands of clients, is because the work is up front. It's not that there is no work. Or if you do come out with a program that is more of a general, let's say weight loss program, it's a 12-week thing and blah, 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 and you sell it to 100 people. That's a good amount of income, and you still put in work, but you put it in the upfront. You still have to have a good product ultimately, or else, again, people are going to find out and they're going to realize, wait a minute. So you do have to put in time. You do have to put in work, and it's not just some, walk in the park. You don't have to do anything. However, yes, there's some truth to the scalability and the fact that you're putting work in up front to then, not have to put in constant, repeating work over and over and over. So yes, there's some truth to that. I'm not at any point in my own business where I'm, by any means just like sitting back, chilling at the beach. I don't really desire that personally either. I want to be working. I want to be, doing those things and putting in work each day. Sure, the flexibility is one of the reasons I got into it and like the idea of online training. And yes, helping more people, not be limited to 20, 15 people, that is appealing as well. I can help a lot more people. And there's lots of things I do enjoy about the online training space, and I'll talk about those. But there's some things I miss from the in-person training as well. And so I personally am still doing both. I'm in that middle space, like I talked about, and I feel like that's probably the best place to be. And, you can obviously determine that for you, but we'll talk about each and what, I think the benefit is of being in that middle space most. And one of the obvious ones is you still have that ability to have those relationships with people where you're talking and you're on your feet. You're not just confined to a desk the entire day. I think it's good to have that still. And you can be a little more selective if, let's say, you get to a place where your business is doing well online. You can be more selective with your in-person training of who you're going to take on, and you don't have to just take whatever you can get. You can train a few people that you enjoy training and help them still in person, still get that outlet for yourself as well. And additionally, on the other side, so obviously that's one of the benefits. If you've got the online thing at a place where it's in a good spot, you could still have this here. But on the other side, let's say you're just starting out and you don't have anything with the online yet, or maybe very minimal. If you start with the in-person clients and you work your way to online and slowly transition, you don't ever have that place where you're just, not having either. And so I think what people sometimes think if they're doing in-person training, and let's just say this is your scenario, you've got some in-person clients, you are considering the benefits of online training just like I did, and you're thinking, okay, maybe I can transition, I've already got all these clients here, maybe I can bring them with me to start doing the online training. I'll just start training them online. But one thing, you could run into some difficulties with your gym that you're training out of. If you're currently at a gym, they might not like that. The other issue though is most in-person clients, and this is what I found when I switched to online, they're not interested in doing online training. They want to do in-person training. That's what they're used to. That's what they've done. That's why they came to you. So that's something you're going to run into. It's a totally different market. It's a totally different clientele. And again, you might have people who are specifically looking for online training that come to you. What I found most of the time is it's people who have no experience with really either. They've never had a personal trainer, period. and they're going to be more likely to try out online training because they don't have a preference at this point. They haven't tried either. And so it's a good thing because they oftentimes are open to it and they typically enjoy it and like it and get good results. And so that's what becomes their preference. But, if they've had in-person training or that's what they were looking for, that's what they want. And so, you're going to probably lose a lot of clients when you switch over to online training. What you can do, and this will help you get your foot in the door with the online training transition, offer a hybrid option. So, maybe if you have, let's just use an example. If you have a client that trains with you twice a week, offer them an option of, hey, you pay me whatever. Let's just say they pay you $50 a session 2 times a week. So they pay you $100 a week. Maybe you come up with something. And again, this is where there's a lot of room for you to be creative, but you got to kind of think through it. Maybe you come up with something where you say, hey, if you would be interested for an extra, $25 a week, I will create you, 2 more workouts that you can do on your own in the gym those other 2 days. We'll meet once a month for me to go through them with you. I'll show you exactly what to do still one time, show you the workouts, and then you would do them on your own. And so I'm just essentially creating you additional programs outside of our meeting times for you to do on your own time. Because, if you train 2 more times each week, then you're going to double your results from the amount of times we're meeting. Something like that. Maybe you add in some nutrition coaching and that's a additional fee or something, a monthly cost. There's different ways you could do it. So, the reality is there's definitely benefit to having that mix of both, I think, and I would say that's the best route to go. You can slowly transition where you have less in-person clients and you're doing more with online training, and then your in-person clients are more select. But starting out, it's just a good safety net to keep your in-person clients slowly. Don't just say to them, hey, I'm going to online training, and drop them off. I would say keep them, slowly transition into the online space, and that is going to be really just the best route to go. So the tool that I personally use for doing my online training is called Trainerize. And, there's lots of benefits to the tool. I've done a tutorial video from the client perspective. I've talked a little bit from the coach perspective about Trainerize in the past. I'll probably do some more in-depth videos going into the Trainerize app of how to use all the different functions within it and all the benefits. But I think at minimum, try the 30-day trial out for it just to see how it works. I'll link to it in the description. And you can kind of get an idea of how this online training thing could go for you. On top of the fact that you get a 30-day free trial is you only pay for clients you have, essentially. So there's client seats. So if you have 0 to 5 clients, you're in that range, you only pay this much a month, and I forget what it is, but it's like 10 or 15 bucks a month, right? So it's not outrageous. It's something that you could do. And if you have just even 1 client, you're probably making that back, I would hope. So that's the nice thing. And then once you get to the 6th client or whatever, I don't remember the exact numbers, but let's say you get to the 6th client, 6 to 15 clients is this much a month. It's $40 a month. And so it's nice because it grows with you. So you're not in a spot where you're just dishing out, $100 a month right off the bat and you are just watching money go down the hole. I have always made my money back that I'm, spending for the app because, again, you only are increasing when you have a new client. When I got my first person that was really interested in doing online training, I started out just, like I said, with just an Excel sheet. It took a lot of work. It took way more work than having an app like Trainerize. Yes, you have to learn the ins and outs of an app like that, but the amount of time that I put into trying to do things, my own way to save a buck really cost me. And if I would have just immediately gotten something like Trainerize, it would have helped so much at the beginning. It would have been a lot less stressful. And I think I just didn't, I thought in my mind, like, oh, essentially all it is, it's you're creating programs and through the app and blah, blah, blah. And so I just thought, well, I can do that on my own. And that's not, it's not a whole lot different than what I'm going to be doing. It's so much different. The app is so much different. It saves you so much time. It truly does, even in the program creation side of things, let alone all the tracking abilities within the app and everything else. So, really, that is one thing. If there's nothing else, that is one thing I would definitely be willing to pay for as a tool and gladly pay for. There's other things where, MyFitnessPal, you could do the premium version or you could just do the free version. For your clients, they can do the free version if they want. For, other different tools that you can get, there's lots of free things that will do what you need them to do. I haven't experienced anything that's free that will do quite what Trainerize does for you and will benefit you the way that Trainerize does. And Trainerize really is not expensive. And so the cost of benefit for an app like that is, to me, it's just a no-brainer. And so that is one tool that I would highly recommend trying out, no matter what. If you're going to start getting to online training, that's kind of the first step I would take almost. If you just have that one tool, you've got a lot of things done for you. Even from the side of selling your program, think about it. How are you, if you have nothing, you have no tool, nothing set up, and you're going to sell a program to somebody, and you say that, or you advertise that. Let's say you put a Facebook post and somebody reaches out and they say, hey, yeah, I'd be interested in that. Okay, well, now what? Are you going to just say, like, Venmo me, or how's that going to work? Because you don't have any sort of way to handle all that. And so even something like that, I'm sure there's tools, again, that you could look into and get, and whatever. But if you have Trainerize right within the app, you can create the program not only for the client and to be in their workout library and everything, but you can create the program to sell and put your price on it and everything else. You can put an image attached with it, and it's official. And when they click on the link, you send them over a link, hey, here's the product. They will have a checkout page that's secure with all their credit card information they put in, and they pay for it right there online, and it does it all for you. And so again, even just something like that we don't necessarily think about how that's all going to work. There's lots of behind the scenes things that are helpful when you have something like this tool. And, it's very easy to, again, I talked about the glamorization of online training. It's very easy for somebody to make a video and just talk about the very surface level stuff of it. And then you get excited. I do this sometimes. Get excited. You're like, okay, I'm going to start this tomorrow. And you don't think about, well, how am I going to, actually sell a program that's not physical? How am I going to package that and wrap that up? How am I going to, collect payment from somebody? How are the, taxes on all this going to work? How is, all these different things that maybe you just don't even think through at all. And they come up and they creep up, and it's like, holy cow, like this stuff builds up, and you don't need it all necessarily, all your ducks in a row right off the bat. But something like Trainerize will take care of a lot of them right away. And so that's just a huge, huge asset to have in your tool belt. And so I would just, if nothing else, that would be step one, is get something like Trainerize, if not Trainerize itself, and utilize it, because it's going to help you from so many different aspects of doing the online training and transitioning into that. If you're already doing online training of any sort and you're not using Trainerize, I would highly recommend just trying it out. Do the 30-day free trial. See for yourself. If you've already got some idea of how to do online training, still check out Trainerize, because I've had other clients switch over from other trainers or training apps and say that the Trainerize experience has been so much better. And so I would just highly recommend even checking it out, because it is free. So check it out for yourself, see what you think. I don't know where you're at, depending on who you are watching this. If you're just starting out, again, this recap, I would just start with the in-person training. And you could start with both. You could do in-person training and utilize something like Trainerize to have that option still for even in-person clients. And if you start right off the bat with that, I think that'd be powerful for you to get the exposure to both sides. If you already have in-person clients, don't ditch them. Don't expect them to do online training though either. Try to slowly grow your online while having your in-person clients. And those who are maybe new in-person clients coming on, I would include the Trainerize or just some sort of online option with their in-person training so that you're slowly transitioning into it. And for those people, a great thing I didn't mention is, when you fully transition, if you do, or if you get to a place where they, end up moving or whatever else, now it does become a more viable option to do online with them because they had exposure to both right off the bat. And so they're familiar with it, they're used to it. It's not fully new to them. And you could help them even set it up in person, which will be helpful for them. And then now when they're in a different state or whatever it is, they already know how to use it. And so it's not something new for them. I think that's a big hurdle for a lot of people that are used to doing the in-person training. And then lastly, if you're thinking about doing fully online, I would just say, be careful of the glamorization, be careful of the lies that might be out there or things that could seduce you into thinking, oh, I'm just going to quit everything I'm doing over here, go fully online and be a millionaire and all this stuff and have all this freedom. It's still a lot of work. It's still a lot of time. It's still, it's a lot of time behind a desk or a computer and, not getting as much of that thing that really is probably why you started out with in-person training. And so I would just say, if you don't want to fully lose that, don't just jump straight to this and get overly excited and ambitious. Take it slow, slowly grow the online business and training. It's separate. I mean, they're like almost two different animals. And then when you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm doing well enough over here that I can be more selective over here, or I can, do less of this, it can be more leisure. Maybe you do it for free for people at some point where you're just like, I just enjoy training people. I got more free time because my online business is booming and I can just train some other people in the gym or work out with them in all my spare time. And if you get to that point, great, but don't just think that happens automatically and just ditch everything over here. I would say if and when you get to that point, then, make those transitions, but don't just go straight to it. It's an issue that I had starting out and something that, I think I'm growing in. So hopefully that will be helpful for you. Don't do it the way I did it. And hopefully it will help you as you transition into online training.